Galactic Council stunned as humanity rejects all attempts at diplomacy. HFY story. The chamber was unlike anything Elena Vos had seen before. Suspended in the void of space, orbiting the collapsed heart of a long-dead star, the Council station glowed with a cold, indifferent light. Its vaulted ceilings shimmered with nanoglass, revealing the roaring chaos of a supernova in the distance. Inside, silence reigned, a tense, expectant hush that blanketed the vast hall. She stepped forward, boots clicking against polished obsidian. Eyes, some familiar, others alien beyond comprehension, watched her every move. Some radiated curiosity. Others open disdain. A voice, smooth, metallic, broke the silence. "Captain Elena Vos of Earth," it announced. "Representative of Sol. You may address the Council." Elena didn't bow. Didn't even nod. She walked straight to the center podium, where a ring of diplomats hovered in grav seats, each representing one of the 58 sovereign species of the Galactic Council. And at the highest point sat Chancellor Thraxer of the Scintillar Dominion, his silver skin catching the dim light like liquid metal. She raised her chin, eyes locking with his. "Thank you for your invitation." Thraxer's mouth twitched into what might have been a smile. "Earth arrives late to the stars, but not without fire. The Council welcomes your presence. We hope cooperation follows." Elena's jaw tightened. "Cooperation isn't the issue. Ownership is." A low murmur rippled through the chamber. Thraxer folded his six-fingered hands. "We do not claim ownership, Captain. We offer guidance, unity, peace." "You offer conditions," Elena replied. "Mandatory trade routes. Technology sharing, with restrictions. Cultural integration codes. Education reforms. And Earth's own defense systems to be regulated by an off-world oversight committee." She paused, letting the list hang in the air like smoke after gunfire. "That's not unity. That's assimilation." A representative from the Daelin swarm, a crystalline species with light-pulsing bodies, flared in alarm. "Such structures maintain balance across the galaxy. They prevent chaos." Elena smiled faintly. "Humanity didn't survive chaos. We evolved through it." The Scintillar Chancellor leaned forward slightly. "Captain Vos, perhaps you misunderstand the stakes. The Council structure exists not to dominate, but to preserve. Your world has potential, but potential untamed can ignite destruction. We offer safety." Elena took a deep breath, eyes sweeping the chamber. "Safety is not the absence of danger. It's the presence of strength. And Earth doesn't need a leash to feel safe." Thraxer's eyes narrowed, though his voice remained level. "And if the Council refuses to accept Earth outside the structure? Then Earth walks alone." The silence that followed was brutal. Representatives exchanged glances, some astonished, others clearly alarmed. No species had ever declined the Council's terms. Not one in 1,000 years. Thraxer's voice dropped to something colder. "Isolation breeds vulnerability. You risk much, Captain? Do you speak for all of Earth?" Elena nodded. "I speak for a people who won't trade their soul for comfort. We came here willing to share ideas, not surrender autonomy. We will not be tamed." A murmur of static language flared through the translation field. One representative, a floating cephalopod from the Thecan cluster, spoke directly. "Your defiance is admirable. But naive. Do you know how many species burned before the Council was formed?" "Yes," Elena said. "And do you know how many of those species surrendered everything before they ever lit their first fire?" That silenced the chamber again. She continued, voice steady. "Humanity has always been seen as unpredictable. Violent. Primitive. But here we are, at your table, not because we begged, but because we earned our seat. Through grit. Through war. Through learning, sometimes the hard way. We're not here to be ruled. We're here to contribute. But on equal footing." Thraxer's mask cracked, just slightly. "You believe equality can exist without shared control? Without structure?" "I believe control and equality don't belong in the same sentence." A beat of silence. Then Thraxer stood, slowly, deliberately. We will deliberate on Earth's position. You will be summoned when a decision is made. Elena didn't move. Make no mistake. Earth is not waiting for permission. We're informing you of our choice. Thraxer's gaze burned into her. Then we will inform you of the consequences. The chamber dimmed, signaling the end of the session. Grab seats disengaged, and representatives floated away in clusters of hushed conversation. Some stared at her like she was a weapon left unsecured. Others like she was already dead. As Elena turned to leave, her aide, a soft-spoken AI named Rook, buzzed quietly in her ear. That went well, Rook muttered. For a declaration of diplomatic war. Elena smirked. It was always going to be war. I just told them we're ready for it. And as the doors closed behind her, the council's halls echoed not with applause or condemnation, but with silence. The kind that came right before the storm. The council chamber was darker now, its once shimmering expanse reduced to a cold, foreboding space. Outside, the heart of a dead star pulsed ominously, a fitting backdrop for the political standoff unfolding inside. Earth's fate lay in the balance, and Elena Voss stood at the center, facing not only the representatives of the Galactic Council, but the weight of humanity's future. Elena had expected resistance, even disdain, but she had not anticipated this level of cold indifference. The Council had never faced a species so unwilling to bow, so resolute in its refusal to submit. They had expected negotiation, compromise. Instead, they had found defiance. She stood before the Council once again, this time in the wake of their decision. The verdict had come swiftly, a formality, some might call it. A simple statement from Thraxer, read by his emissary. Earth will be accepted into the galactic fold, but only under the condition of full integration into the existing Council structure. Compliance with established protocols is mandatory. The terms were worse than the ones she had rejected in the first meeting. It was a heavy-handed attempt to break Earth's spirit, to force the planet to relinquish its control over its own destiny. Elena had known what they would do. They'd give Earth the appearance of membership, only to chain it under 1,000 bureaucratic laws. She didn't flinch as she heard the words again, each one feeling like another step toward the abyss. Her reply had already been prepared. Council of the Galactic Elders, Elena began, her voice steady, cutting through the tension like a blade. I came here to bring humanity's voice into the conversation, not to bow to an order that refuses to see us as equals. Earth rejects your terms. A sharp intake of breath rippled through the assembly. The murmurs were immediate, rising in a chorus of disbelief and quiet outrage. Thraxer's face, usually a calm mask of superiority, tightened imperceptibly. He had known it was coming, but hearing it aloud, rejected outright, with no room for negotiation, still felt like a personal insult. I must remind you, Captain Voss, Thraxer's voice was crisp, cold, that you stand in the midst of civilizations far older and more advanced than yours. Earth's potential, as you call it, is nothing compared to the wisdom accumulated by those who have been here for millennia. And I must remind you, Elena shot back, her tone hard as iron, that Earth's greatest strength has always been its unpredictability. Your wisdom has no place in a future shaped by humanity's will. The scintillar representative, a hulking creature covered in scales like polished stone, growled low, its eyes flickering with disdain. Your refusal is a threat to galactic stability, Captain. We cannot allow chaos to spread again. The Council's unity is paramount. The only threat here, Elena responded, locking eyes with the creature, is your idea of unity. A unity that demands the submission of independent minds, the suppression of free will. Humanity rejects that. Another voice rose from the back of the chamber, a representative of the Nalan, a species known for their advanced biological technology, whose soft, glowing skin shifted in waves of color as they spoke. You speak of independence as if it is the only virtue, but independence without responsibility is anarchy. Do you understand the dangers you provoke? Responsibility? Elena's laugh was short, bitter. We are responsible for our choices, our mistakes, and our triumphs. But the moment we accept the Council's authority, We hand over that responsibility. And humanity does not give up its right to choose. The tension in the room was palpable, thickening the air like a storm cloud. Elena could feel it, the electric charge that came before conflict, before war. The Council had believed they could sway Earth with promises of protection, but Elena had seen through it. She knew what the true cost was. Thraxor stood then, his presence looming, a giant among mortals. This is not just about Earth's place in the galaxy, Captain. This is about the survival of the peace we've fought centuries to maintain. If Earth cannot abide by our terms, then it will stand apart, alone, isolated, and vulnerable. You've already made your decision, Elena replied, her voice unwavering. And Earth's decision is final. The silence that followed was almost unbearable. No one spoke. No one moved. The representatives, whose species had long ago learned to manipulate diplomacy and politics, now found themselves face to face with a species that could not be manipulated. There was no clever rhetoric, no bargaining. Only defiance. Very well. Thraxor's voice was chilling in its finality. If Earth will not submit, then it will be considered a rogue entity, outside the protection of the Council. I suggest you reconsider, Captain Voss, before it is too late. The words landed like stones. The implication was clear. Isolation meant not only political rejection but also the very real possibility of violent reprisal. The galaxy was not a forgiving place for those who defied its power. I don't think you understand, Thraxor, Elena said, her gaze fixed on him. But Earth has never needed protection from anyone. We've stood alone before, and we will again if necessary. The council chamber buzzed with nervous energy. Elena could hear the whispers of species who were beginning to question the wisdom of their leaders. The fear that Earth's independence was not a sign of weakness, but a warning. Thraxor leaned forward, his cold gaze piercing through Elena. Then you leave us no choice. Earth's refusal has sealed its fate. You've sealed your own, Elena retorted. Earth will survive. And when the day comes that the galaxy needs us, you'll regret this moment of arrogance. With those final words, Elena turned sharply, signaling her aides to follow. The doors to the chamber slid open with a soft hiss, and the heavy weight of history seemed to press against her as she stepped into the hall beyond. Behind her, the council remained in stunned silence. Not one of them could fathom what it meant to face an opponent like humanity. It was not just that they rejected the offer, it was the certainty in Elena's eyes, the unshakable confidence that humanity would not bend, no matter the cost. The fate of Earth had been sealed. The question now was whether the galaxy was ready to face the consequences.